So let us come to the introduction. So in the introduction, I'll just read out. For a long time, electricity and magnetism were treated as two separate and unrelated phenomena. In the year 1820, Oersted discovered that electric current produces magnetic field. Ampere and others found that moving electric charges produce magnetic field. Thus, it was established that electricity and magnetism are interrelated. So, as we know that for a long time, we thought that both this electricity and magnetism, okay. So, electricity and magnetism are two separate concepts, okay, which are both are unrelated. So, in the year 1820, the scientist called as Oersted discovered that electric current, okay, the electric current produces the magnetic field, and some of the scientists like Ampere and others found that the moving electric charges produces magnetic fields. Okay, so this was the relation between the electricity and magnetism. So hence we say that both this electricity and magnetism are interrelated. Okay, so next, coming to the next paragraph, that can magnetic field produce electric current? Okay, so see you in the last chapter we studied that the charges which are in motion, okay, or the electric current produces the magnetic field, right? So now it's a vice versa. Okay, does the magnetic field produces the electric current? Okay, so it is said that attempts were made in this direction and was found that reverse effect is possible. Experiments of Michael Faraday in England and Joseph Henry in USA conducted around 1830 demonstrated that electric currents were induced in closed coils when subjected to changing magnetic fields. The phenomena in which electric current is generated in closed coils by varying magnetic fields is called electromagnetic induction. Okay, so as we know that always the charges which are in motion, okay, the electric current produces the magnetic field. So the next question was, does this magnetic field produces the electric current? So the answer to this question was given by the Faraday, okay, Faraday and Henry, who demonstrated an experiment in the year 1830. Okay, so that they found that there was a induced current produced in a closed coil whenever it was subjected to the change in magnetic field. Okay, so whenever you change the magnetic field across the closed loop, there was a induced electric current. Okay, so hence it is said that even the magnetic field produces the electric current, and this the phenomena in which electric current is generated in closed coils by varying magnetic fields is called electromagnetic induction. Okay, so electric current generated in closed coil by varying the magnetic field is called electromagnetic induction. Okay, next, the phenomena of electromagnetic induction is the basis of the working power generators, dynamos, transformers, etc. Imagine a world where there is no electricity. Practically everything that we use today depends on electricity. We can say that the discovery electromagnetic induction is responsible for the progress made in today's civilization. So you can see this electromagnetic induction, okay, in the basis of working of this power generators, dynamos and transformers. Okay, and it is said that in this modern world, okay, most of the things depends upon the electricity, right? And hence the discovery of this electromagnetic induction is also responsible to the progress in this today's civilization. Okay, so this is regarding the introduction part of the electromagnetic induction chapter. Okay. Next year we have three experiments, okay, to study about this, how the current is induced in a coil whenever it is subjected to this change in magnetic field. Okay, so let us go through the first experiment, that is Faraday and Henry experiments of Faraday and Henry. Experiment 1 is current induced by a magnet. Okay, current induced by a magnet. So I'll just read out the first two lines. C is a coil of few tons of conducting material insulated from one another. It is connected to a sensitive galvanometer G. So as you can see in the figure there, you have a coil. Okay, so there are few turns. Okay, I think you are aware of these turns, right? Loops. So each turns has been insulated from each other, from one another. Okay, and it has been connected to a galvanometer. As you can see, the galvanometer, which is represented by G, and that needle shows the amount of current, okay, produced or induced in the coil. So always, as you know, that galvanometer is used to detect a small amount of current. Okay, so now see you, let us see how we are going to induce the electric current in the coil. So I'll just read out the first point there. When the north pole of a bar magnet is pushed towards the coil, the galvanometer shows a sudden deflection, indicating that a current is induced in the coil. So as you know that you have, whenever you take a magnet, okay, you have two poles, north pole and south pole. So you can see in the figure, the north pole is towards the coil, okay, and what you are going to do is you are just moving that magnet towards the coil. So whenever you move the uh, whenever you move the magnet towards the coil, so what happens, the galvanometer starts deflecting, okay, indicating that there is a induced current in the coil. Next, the second step, when the magnet is brought to rest, the deflection reduces to zero. There is no deflection when the bar magnet is held stationary anywhere. So that means that whenever you move the coil, okay, that is when the coil, whenever you move the magnet, so whenever the magnet is in motion towards the coil, so there is a induced current. Once you stop that magnet to move, okay, so what happens, there is no current in the coil, okay, and hence the galvanometer reads zero deflection. Next, the third point says that when the magnet is moved away from the coil, the galvanometer shows a deflection in the opposite direction, which indicates the reversal in the direction of induced current. So as you know that in the first case, what I said is, what we did is, I said that you are moving the magnet towards the coil, right? So let us say that when you move that magnet towards the coil, let us say that the galvanometer showed deflection towards the left. Assume, okay. So now the galvanometer is reading the deflection towards the left. So next, what I'm going to do is I'm taking away that magnet away from the coil. So what happens? The galvanometer now shows the deflection in the opposite direction, that is towards the right. Okay. So that is the meaning of that. So hence you can say that it shows the reversal in the direction of current. First it was towards the left of the galvanometer. Once you take that magnet away from the coil, so what happens, the galvanometer reads shows the deflection towards the right. Okay, next, the fourth point, when the south pole of the bar magnet is moved towards or away from the coil, the galvanometer deflections are opposite to the observed with the north pole for similar movements. So it is known that, suppose you take a south pole, which is towards the uh, coil. So what happens? It is said that when the south pole of a bar magnet is moved towards or away from the coil, the galvanometer deflections are opposite to the observed. Okay, that means, let us say that if I take a south pole, okay, which is directed towards the coil, so now it is north pole and south pole, right? Okay, so let me reverse that. Let us say that now you have south pole and you have north pole. So the south pole is towards the coil now. So let us say that I'm moving that coil towards the coil. I'm moving that magnet towards the coil. So what happens in the initial case? Okay, the galvanometer, when this north pole was towards the coil, when I moved the magnet towards the coil, the galvanometer showed deflection to the left, right? So now in this case, what happens? Since you have south pole, okay, so when you move this magnet, the galvanometer shows deflection towards the right. Okay. Similarly, when I take away the magnet from the coil, so what happens? It deflects towards the left, which is opposite to that of previous case what we saw. Okay. So that is the meaning of that fourth point. So the next fifth point is nothing but the galvanometer deflection is found to be larger when the magnet is moved faster towards or away from the coil. So as you can see there, when you move this magnet faster towards or away from the coil, so the current in the galvanometer or current induced in the coil will be more. So the deflection in the galvanometer will be more. Okay. So the last point, when the bar magnet is held fixed and the coil C is moved towards or away from the magnet, the same effect are observed. It shows that relative motion between magnet and the coil is responsible for the generation of electric current in the coil. So it is said that instead of moving the magnet, okay, if you keep that magnet stationary and if you move that coil towards the magnet or away from the magnet, so what happens? The same effect is observed. Okay, there is a current induced in the coil, even though if you keep the magnet stationary and you move the coil towards the or away from the magnet, the same effect is observed. So that is the meaning of that sixth point. Okay, so now just go through about that experiment of Faraday and Henry. Just go through all the 6 points. So in case if you have any doubts, please let me know. Okay, just go through for a few minutes. Okay, what about others? Any doubts apart from, yeah? Meghana, no doubt, sir. How about others? Okay, fine. Good. Okay. So, the conclusion of that first experiment, that is Faraday and Henry, is nothing but whenever you move the magnet towards or away from the coil, so what happens? There is a current induced in the coil, okay, which is deflected, I mean, which is recorded by the galvanometer. Okay. So similarly, when you place this magnet stationary and when you move that coil towards the magnet or away from the magnet, so what happens? Even the same observation is seen. That means that there is a induce of current. The current is induced in the coil. Okay. So this is regarding the conclusion. But once the magnet is stationary, there is no induced current in the coil. Okay. So either the magnet or either the coil should be in motion. It should be moved towards or away. Okay. So that is the conclusion of that first experiment. Okay. So next, experiment 2, current induced by current. Okay. So let us see what is this current induced by current. Okay. Just I'll read out that line. See there. C1 is a coil of a few turns of conducting material insulated from one another. It is connected to a sensitive galvanometer G. Another such coil C2 connected to a battery is placed such that they have a common axis. A steady current in C2 produces a steady magnetic field around it. Okay, see you can see the figure here. You have two coils here. Okay, so one is nothing but, as you can see, the same thing which we used in the previous case. You have few turns, okay, which is insulated from one another and it is being connected to a galvanometer. Okay, so next you have one more coil, okay, even which has some few turns and which has been connected to a battery. Okay, you can see the battery here, right? So now let us see how the current is induced in the coil 1. Okay, this is coil 1 and this is coil 2, and you can see both the coils have the common axis, right? So here I am just drawing the axis here. So both the coils has the common axis, that is C1 and C2. Okay, now just I'll read out the first point. When the coil C2 is moved towards the coil C1, the galvanometer shows a deflection which indicates that an electric current is induced in the coil 1. Okay, so see here what happens here is, as you know that the coil C2, okay, the coil C2 is connected to a battery. So what happens? There is a current in the coil C2. As you know that since there is a current, okay, in the coil C2, so when you move that coil C2 towards the coil C1, there is a current induced in the coil C1 also. Okay, how is that? How is that current is induced in the coil C1 when you move this coil C2 towards that? Any idea? How is that? Meghana, because of magnetic field produced by C2. Exactly. Okay, see here. Whenever I say that there is a current flowing, obviously there should be a magnetic field, right? So since the coil C2 has been connected to a battery, so that there is a current in the coil C2. Okay, so hence that due to the current flowing in the coil C2, there will be a magnetic field produced. So since you are moving that C2 towards the coil C1, what happens? There is a change of magnetic field related to that coil C1. Okay, so since what happens due to the change in magnetic field, so the current will be induced in the coil C1. Okay, so hence galvanometer shows deflection. Okay, that is the meaning of first point. So the second point is nothing but when C2 is moved away from the coil C1, the galvanometer shows deflection in the opposite direction. This indicates that the direction of induced current in C1 is reversed. So as you know that once you take away that C2 from C1, when you move that C2 away from the coil C1, so what happens? The current which is shown in the magnetic flux will be in opposite direction. Sorry, the current shown in the galvanometer reads opposite deflection. Okay, initially let us say that when you move this coil C2 towards the C1, the galvanometer shows deflection towards the left. So now when you are taking away this C2 away from the coil C1, so what happens? The galvanometer reads deflection towards the right. Okay, so that is nothing but the reversal of current we say. So next, the third point, if the coil C2 is held fixed and the coil C1 is moved, the same effects are observed. The same thing, instead of if you keep this coil C2 stationary, okay, and you move this coil C1 towards or away from the coil C2, okay, so the same effects are observed. Okay, next, the fourth point, the deflection is observed as long as there is relative motion between the coils C1 and C2. No deflection is observed if two coils are held stationary or moved with zero relative velocity. Okay, so as you know that the deflection is observed as long as there is a relative motion between C1 and C2. That means that if you keep C1 constant and if you move C2 coil away or near, okay, towards or away from the coil C1, similarly keeping C2 constant and moving this C1 towards or away from the coil C2, you are going to see the deflection in the galvanometer. That means that there is a current induced in the galvanometer. So once you keep this both the coil C1 and C2 stationary, what happens? There is no deflection in the galvanometer. Okay. So hence, when both the coils are stationary, no current is found. Okay. And it is also said that if the two coils are moved with zero relative velocity, what does it mean? That means that you are moving both the coils with the same velocity, okay, towards the left or towards the right. So at that time what happens? There is no change of magnetic field related to the coil C1. So no current is induced in the coil. Okay, so that is the meaning of that fourth point. Next, the fifth point, the galvanometer deflection is found to be larger when coils are moved faster towards or away from each other. So obviously when you move this coil C2 towards or away, okay, from the coil C1 faster, when you move fast, so what happens? The deflection in the galvanometer will be shown large, it will be shown more. Okay, so that is the meaning of this fifth point. Okay, so just go through about this experiment, current induced by current. Okay, this is what we call, so the current is present in the coil C2 since it has been connected to the battery. So you are moving that coil C2 towards the coil C1 so that the current is induced in the coil C1. So hence it is called as current is induced by current. Okay, so this is about the second experiment. Okay, just go through all the 5 points, just go through the figure. In case any doubts, please let me know. Just go through for a few minutes. Okay, fine. We will move to the next, that is experiment 3, current induced by changing current. Okay, current induced by changing current. So that means that you can see in the figure there you have two coils. Okay, that is C1. The same thing has been, it has been connected to the galvanometer, and you can see the C2 which has been connected to a battery. Okay, so you have the same common axis. So the axis is common for both C1 and C2. C1 and C2 have the common axis. Okay, so now let us see how the current is induced by changing currents. So you can see there C1 and C2 are two coils of conducting material placed coaxially. C1 is connected to a sensitive galvanometer G, and C2 is connected to battery through a tapping key K. Okay, so see here in the C2 you can see that C2 has been connected to a battery. With the battery you have a tapping key. Okay, so let us see what is the observations we are going to make. In the first point you can see there when the key is pressed the galvanometer shows momentary deflection and returns to zero immediately. Okay, so how is that the galvanometer shows momentary deflection and returns to zero? Why is that? Why is the current becomes zero in the galvanometer? First, the galvanometer shows some deflection, right? How is that the deflection becomes zero there? Any idea? Through tapping key. So, what is the use of the tapping key, Meghana? What is the use of the tapping key, first of all? Yes, anyone? Okay, fine. So, see here, in this case, what happens is when the key is pressed, the galvanometer shows momentary deflection and returns to zero. Okay, so assume that first the tapping key is not pressed. Okay, so what happens since the coil is connected to the battery, so the current is produced. Okay, so what happens here is, so the current is induced, I mean the current is increasing in a step by step method. Okay, so that means that if the current is increasing in a step by step method, what is the meaning of that? The current is increasing gradually. Okay, the current is increasing in the coil C2 gradually. Let us say that from zero point 0.5 ampere to 1 ampere, next 1 ampere to 1.5, next 1.5 to 2 ampere. What does it mean? So as the current keeps on changing, what happens? The magnetic field produced, it also keeps on changing, right? So since the current is changing, the magnetic field also changes. Okay, so the magnetic field which is produced due to the changing current in the coil C2 also keeps on varying. So this varying magnetic field, when it enters the coil C1, okay, so what happens? There is a deflection in the galvanometer. Okay, so the current is induced in the coil C1, so the galvanometer shows a deflection. So next, once you tap that, you once you are going to press that key, so what happens? the electric circuit is made to break. Okay, so what happens here is the current in the coil C2 will be made to break. Okay, that means that it becomes zero there. So hence the deflection in the galvanometer which is connected to coil C1 also become zero. Okay, so in the second point it is said that when the key is kept pressed continuously, there is no deflection in the galvanometer. Okay, so next the point 3, when the key is released, the galvanometer again shows momentary deflection but in the opposite direction and returns to zero immediately. So that means that when you release the key, what happens? Again, the current which is deflected, I mean the current which is produced in the coil C1, which is recorded by the galvanometer, shows the deflection in opposite direction. Okay, and again it returns to a zero. Okay, so the fourth point shows that the galvanometer deflection increases dramatically when the iron rod is inserted into the coils along the axis and the key is pressed or released. Okay, so see here, what happens here is if you want to increase the current, okay, so what happens, what you are going to do is you need to, when you insert this iron rod, okay, in the coil, between the coil, if you insert the iron rod, what happens, the current induced will be more. Okay, so the galvanometer reads more deflection. Okay, so that is what they have given there. Okay, so the conclusion of this is nothing but when you press the tab key, so what happens, the galvanometer shows a momentary deflection and it becomes a zero. Okay, that means that before tapping the key, what happens, once you tap the, first of all, when you press the tab key, okay, it, what does it make, it breaks the electric circuit. Okay, it breaks the electric circuit. Okay, so what happens to that is nothing but when you press the that tapping key, so there is a current induced in the coil C1. Okay, so next what happens, it shows the deflection for few minutes and it returns to zero. Okay, similarly when you release the tapping key, what happens, the current is induced in the coil in the opposite direction, so the current, so the deflection in the galvanometer is towards the opposite side. So again after some few minutes it again comes to zero. Okay, so this is regarding the current induced by the changing current. Okay, so if you want to increase the current induced in the coil, so what you are going to do is you are going to insert the iron rod. Okay, whenever you insert the iron rod to the coil, between the coil, okay, so what happens is the current will be more induced, so the galvanometer reads more deflection. Okay, uh, just go through for a while about this experiment 3. Any doubts you can ask. Okay, any doubts, students, regarding that third, current induced by changing currents? Okay, Meghana, what is, sir, what is the usage of tapping key? Will it change the values of current? Okay, so see here, tapping key is nothing but which is used to uh, which is when you press or release the tapping key. Okay, so what happens is the electric circuit is made or it is broken. Okay, I think you are aware of this, made or broken, right? So whenever this tapping key is pressed, an electric circuit is made or broken. Okay, made is nothing but what?